all-time low or at some level of a low, but we are here to save the day. We will propose new game suggestions and other methods for player acquisition. We'll go through the news of the week, leaks, topics, tips, community discussions, community content, and even your questions, as well as we roll into a Q&A later on in the episode. How's it going today, guys?
Good. Thank you for having me back again. And it's good to see three of us here, Taryn included, as well as Scoriox and myself. So, yeah, happy to talk things all Illuvium and looking forward to the chat.
Anything from your end, TSG?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Everything's good, man. I disagree on all-time lows or even lows. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm being so tunnel vision. I've been missing that. But no, I'm excited for this. And I said it. I'll be honest. We had some technical issues, but I said it before. Sam, it's good to have you on. I think the community feedback about you being on has been really good. The dynamic between us three has been quite well received, I would say. So you no longer have an option. You have to stay on forever. It's mandatory at this point.
It's a paying job, right?
You're getting paid?
Honestly, I worded that a bit poorly, but there are definitely many in the community that are somewhat nervous. They expected Illuvium to go off with a bigger bang, and they're just waiting for what comes next. And that's a big part of what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah,
first up, we're going to jump into the latest news for Illuvium. And right off the bat, the first ever revenue distribution has gone live in Illuvium. 19,090 ILV has been distributed to stakers. If you are locked up in the ILV or the ILV ETH pool, you got ILV depending on your ILV tokens held in there. I don't remember what the exact number was. It was something like 0.0004 ILV per token you had staked. But I believe Nick did some maths, and it was something like or Johnny, it was something like 12% APY on current prices is essentially what you got for holding and staking the ILV token, which is very, very high for any financial asset. So very interesting stuff. And I can't wait for more of this.
I think we should also talk about last week. We spoke about how, we didn't actually speak about it last week, I don't think, but someone, a very big holder of the Illuvium token, unstaked about 150,000 tokens just prior to this. And I think people in the community were worried that they were going to sell, that they were going to dump on the price. But I think it's more so another strength of the community that it's showing that the big whales unstaking, giving more revenue distribution to the community. It's going into players' hands and investors' hands. So really good to see that. So shout out to Kane. We appreciate that because it does give, I guess, more back to the community. So yeah, really, really cool to see.
Jumping on that as well. Like I just want to. I know. We're never really going to avoid this in total like that. We're always going to have naysayers and things like that about Kieran or the team and things like that. But it shows that conversations are being had where the best interest of the community is actually at the forefront. It's not something. Yeah, it's just something that is being spoken of, and obviously it might not come across at all times, or people might doubt it, but like I say, the benefit of the community, the best for the community is what we've always wanted. So, yeah, I hope this was a display of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Illuvium's right. It was the first revenue distribution after the game launch, but there was one beforehand. It's actually the second revenue distribution overall. The next bit of news we've got today is actually that Epoch 10 governance elections, IMC voting, has closed, and the IMC has been elected for this upcoming epoch, starting at the very start of September. The newest IMC members are Kieran, which has been elected onto it from Illuvium Labs. Myself is an IMC member, Animositas, the CEO of ETH Lizards, Scrubber-Dub-Dad, the CEO and founder of Illuva Data, and Jagger Knight, the man of the people, have been elected onto the IMC. That's how people refer to him. I didn't make that up or something, but so a lot of people in the community seem positive about this. I mean, I obviously got a lot of DMs and congratulations messages and things like that, but overall sentiment in the community regarding the IMC, people are very positive. They're excited for what this next IMC will bring to the table. It's probably one of the biggest changes we've had on the people in governance for quite some time. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting epoch. Hopefully the council can deliver and do everything they need to serve the community in Illuvium.
Should we talk about? I think instead of just being all happy-go-lucky, like, are we happy with this community? The IMC, like, who do you like, or who do you not necessarily dislike? But is it something that you expected? I think there was a couple of other people that were the running that might have that some people thought were going to get in. But I would love to know, Scoriox, yourself and TSG, what were you hoping for? Like, do you like this council, or
do you want to share your thoughts first?
Yeah, I mean, Kieran was obviously going to be in there. Scoriox, I voted for you for obvious reasons. I think that was a no-brainer to myself. And then what I was surprised, I thought Viper would get in, just because his knowledge around Arena is so strong, and I think it would have been beneficial. But I guess he can run for the other one. It's up to him. I think his knowledge is really good. Who else was in there? There was
Caveman,
yeah, and so there's also. Annie is the
Scoriox. Sorry to cut you off here. Scoriox, can you bring up the snapshot? We can actually see the full list there. Probably make a more educated conversation around that. But yes, Annie is the CEO of Ethos, is correct.
So does he have time to do both? Like, this is always my question with other co-founders, right? Like, he's very good at what he does. But does someone who is a founder of another project like Liz, or you've got, I think JP's the founder of one of his projects. Do these people have time to actually put 100% effort into Illuvium with both things? Like, it's a paid job and everything. So it's interesting.
I've worked with Annie. He does really, really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What I'll say on Annie is, I don't know if he, in terms of time allocation, he's able to give all the time that's, I wouldn't say required, but equal time maybe as some of the others on the council. But what I can say from experience is the time that he does put in, maybe this is my biases coming through, but I think I won't say outweighs, but it balances out. So he was actually a big part of, he was probably the biggest part of, as a member from the IMC that helped with the Alliance program as well. So it was conversations where I presented it to some of the IMC, and immediately they were like, yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there was some pushback, but it was very minor. Whereas with Annie, he actually took the time and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Let's break it down. Let's do this. Let's fine tune these things. And he really got his hands in there and really fine tuned it and molded it into what it is today. So
he's not sure he shows cares, right?
He's competent. And that's the thing. He obviously cares. And the thing about him, I think that, again, outweighs the time allocation is that he's overly competent. Yeah. Which in my opinion, holds weight. So
there's two things I wanted to add here. One is Blichter. I was actually quite shocked he didn't make it. He is very good for this, and that was quite surprising to me. And I have someone who is looking into, how you get paid as you're on the IMC, you get tokens. I might have someone who is looking to see what people who have been in the previous epochs who's taken the tokens and sold them, or if they've restaked, or if they can do whatever they want with it. But it's just interesting to see what people do with this financial benefit to them. So yeah, I've got someone looking into that just for intrigueness. We'll
That's really fun. Yeah. So what else? What else are your thoughts on the rest of the council? Bring that snapshot back up and we can go through the other people. I think
Jag's in there as well, right? So with me, Jag is a very community member. He DMs everyone. He's always talking about Illuvium. He shows the pros and cons of it all. I spoke to Jag, I think like a week ago or something. I don't like the fact that he's an extractor. He wants to take money from the ecosystem, and he's told me blatantly about this. So that's just me and him, because I don't want people to come into the game and take the money from the game, sell things and then, take it out of the ecosystem. But what I do like about him is he literally is in Discord 24/7 when he's sleeping. He does reply to people. Some of our opinions don't agree, but if that's what the community wants, that's who they want,
Yeah. Before we go to Scoriox's thoughts and my thoughts, Sam, if you had all the ILV in the world and you could pick your perfect council, who would that be?
I would put Blichter in there. I would probably put Viper back in there.
So there's four. There's four that you can pick.
I'll have to pick
plus
4.
Kieran.
Well, I want Blichter and Viper. Blichter, Viper, Scoriox, Kieran. Is that 4?
No, 4 and Kieran.
4 and Kieran. Kieran's a given.
Kieran's default.
Who else is in there now?
Annie and Scrubs.
And Jag.
I don't know. Just have 4. Fuck it.
Interesting. Okay,
Like, I don't know how they work behind the scenes, to be very clear. Like, I know Scrubber, he's a lawyer and does stuff like that. But I want what I want is people who have no other jobs, who focus 100% on Illuvium, who I see time and time again put the effort in, who care about the project, one not extracting, one that doesn't have 100 things going on and they forget about Illuvium. Just people who are really, really in love with the Illuvium IP. This might be these people. I just don't know them well enough more in depth. But that's what I want. I want people to go, I love Illuvium. I want to see them win. You know, all of our money's invested in Illuvium. So there's a reason why I like this idea. I don't want people who have other things going on and then they're like, oh, I'll get to Illuvium when I can. Now, I'm saying these are the people that do this, but I'm saying that I don't know enough information because, you know, there's 100% energy in a day that people can spend on this. So
yeah, Scoriox, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you might need to be a little bit careful as these are the people you're going to be working with.
I was going to say, these are the perfect candidates. I'm so happy that we
I love them all. I think we're going to work great together. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on it, Scoriox? And Perfect Council as well. And Perfect Council, yeah.
So I've worked with a lot of these people already. I've worked with JP. I've worked with
the politician, man.
I've worked with Jaggerknight, Scrubs, Annie. And I work with Caveman, a lot of stuff as well. It's hard. I would have actually really liked to see Caveman on IMC, if nothing else. I do know that the community has voiced their concerns that they really want people that are active in the community on the IMC. That's kind of the point of the ICC, so it's quite an interesting thing, but that's what the community has been asking for. And I believe the community feels like that they've gotten that. Scrubs is very, very active in governance, even on the previous epoch. So I think if that's what the community was after, I think they got it. So I'm happy for them in that regard. Myself and Jaggerknight, obviously quite active in the community as well. I love working with Annie. So I'm actually really happy to be working with Annie. But Blichter is like the heart and soul of the IMC. So it's really weird to see him not up there. It's gonna be unusual. I'm not gonna be used to it. I'm so used to working with Blichter on the council. So it's a bit like that. I'm happy with the council we have. It would have been cool to see Blichter on there in some form, but yeah, I'm happy with it.
And you're perfect. If you could wave a magic wand, I don't know if you want to do this or not, but if you could do that, I'm legit not trying to start anything here. I'm just very curious.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like 6 people that I really want on council. I can't really pick between them. I think they all have individual skill sets, and it's not like one's better than the other.
No, fair. So my thoughts on this, Scoriox, absolutely great. I'm glad that you're on there. I think there's a lot of value to be given there. I think it's going to be a different kind of value compared to those like Annie and Scrub, who are obviously experts in their field. I think it's still valuable nonetheless. So yourself, Annie, Scrub, happy with it. Yeah. I'll straight up, I don't even care. Like, I don't think Jack Knight should be there. I don't understand. I did the calculation that it was without Lugus's 25%, he wouldn't be there. So I think that he was carried by one of the largest whales, and I don't think that, for me, it just doesn't make any sense. Like you say, Sam, I think he's an extractor. And again, the community is allowed to feel what they want. They voted him in. That's how democracy works. But yeah, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't have done that. As for my perfect council, what I would have actually had was, and this is no shade to anyone, I'll give my rationale behind it, but it would have been Scoriox and Annie, and then Caveman and Viper. The reason I say Caveman and Viper is I know that they disagree on a lot of things.
Fair.
And I think having both of those players, which are decent players, I'm not going to say top players or anything, like just decent players, having those very strong disagreements in the IMC could actually lead to what I think that would lead to is them bringing strong ideas from both sides of the aisle onto the table for the other 3 members of the council to actually be able to get a full picture of both sides, which is why I think having both of them on would have actually been quite good. So yeah, perfect council in my opinion with the candidates that we have would have been Scoriox, Annie, Caveman, and Viper. And that's not to say anyone is more qualified than the other. It's more a psychological reason that I think that would actually make a lot of sense.
Perfect.
Sweet. So we're moving on then. The last bit of news we have for today is actually the burn report. So the June, we're a couple months behind now, but the June burn report just came out. Danny has also said that the July and August burn reports will not be far behind. But for June, it looks quite interesting. We've got the 4-month average at 1.3 mil. Total expenses for May at 1.2 mil. And total funds is looking pretty good with the runway months for June was 15.53 months. Well, after May, and so June, July, and so we're probably down to 11.5, 12 months now, I would guess. But so the June burn report came out, so I'm looking forward to seeing the next 2 burn reports. I think looking at the 3 of them together would be cool. Might even make for a half decent video as well. So we're waiting on that sort of stuff. But yeah, so the next thing we have on today's schedule.
Sorry, can I just quickly jump in on that? Because, by the way, good little graphics. We've got the news thing at the top now. But not to be a negative person, but I'm trying to understand, like, we spoke to Kieran about the burn report, just about a month ago when we did the AMA. And he said that internally that there is already a report, circulating every month. I'm just trying to figure out why it's taking so long to get it to the community. Is one, it is Web3. And I don't, like, that's a June one. It's now July, August, and we're nearly midway through August. Is there a turnaround time that has to be held to get this out? Or I'm just trying to think if it's just, we forgot about it or something. Like, yeah. Did you know why, Taryn, at all?
I don't necessarily. It's not under my jurisdiction. It's not something that I can answer to with precision. So I'm not even going to touch that one.
I just think it should be done. Hopefully, more.
I agree. I do agree that it should be a little bit more.
Yeah,
I agree that it should be on times, but I don't have anything to add on that one.
And how do we feel about we're about 12 months left of runway, 13 months? How do we feel about this? I'm curious.
I'm most interested in roadmap sort of stuff alongside that information. If it's like 12 months left of runway and the team has a plan to get X, A, B, and C executed in the next 6 months, then that's one thing. But if it's 12 months of runway and the team's like, we don't know if we'll be able to get out another game, or we don't know if we'll be able to get overworld combat in for the next 6 months or whatever, or it takes a long time, then that's a whole different discussion. So I'm not digging too deep into it. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Sam?
I think we have just around 12 months because obviously expenditures might go up due to adding probably more people to the team and the marketing and everything else. I don't even want to see another game personally. I just want the overworld and everything polished. I think that's be the focal point for 12 months. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. I would like a bit more runway. I think they should do a raise in the next sort of 6 months-ish if they can, depending on numbers and feedback they get from VCs and everything else. But we have some time. I would like to see a roadmap with some, not dates necessarily, but Q4 this, Q1 this. This is our goal, and be very transparent. Go, this is what we're looking at doing. I think that would ease the community. I like just an infographic that would be sent out on Twitter and Discord so everyone can go, okay, look, we're looking at getting overworld combat in Q1 or Q4 of this or whatever it may be. And then we can sort of, it's not a set date. It's just like roughly, guys. Like, so this is what we're prioritizing. And I think Kieran's doing a really good job on Twitter recently, sharing his thoughts with the community. It's a lot more than what he was posting about. And I think just those little tweets really do help the community going, okay, they're working on these things. Oh, yeah, they're doing this. So shout out to Kieran for jumping back on Twitter. Hopefully he keeps it up and even be more clearer, because his voice is so loud in the, not only just in Illuvium, but in a lot of things. And you really need a pin-up person to, we really need a pin-up person to go, this is Illuvium, right? And I think that's Kieran. So every time he tweets, it has depth and meaning. So I hope he keeps it up and tweets more, so he can get people excited about Illuvium, what's to come.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I think we do need more than Kieran's tweets. I do think that infographics and things like that, I think Kieran's tweets are a great starting point. But yeah, I do think that breaking them down into separate graphics for what's coming up for Overworld, what's coming up for Zero, like I think that's a really good way to do it.
Absolutely.
And what's up next is one of my favorite leaks they've ever released. It is our friend the Anteater with some sort of mohawk. It looks so silly. I love it so much.
Wow. Great. Who's done this, Dimitri, or is this Roger?
Dimitri's the one in charge of...
He's a wizard, isn't he? He's just an absolute wizard.
From memory,
I
if
don't
I
know how he
scroll
does
up,
it.
someone sent like a previous leak and he really wanted it rendered out, and Dimitri quickly rendered it out for him. Or
So
they
I
already
don't-
had it. Yeah.
I don't mean to switch gears, but it's sort of on the same topic. You said render. We have a render farm in Sydney, correct? For Illuvium.
That is correct. Yes.
Just from a pure monetary standpoint, should we not hire that out to other gaming companies or other companies and make profit from that? You're not
That
going to
is
have an
a-
answer for me, are you?
Yeah, I'm not going to have an answer for
Unless
that
it's
one.
really
Yeah.
overworked. Like, that's another great money-making thing. It's like a render farm is millions of dollars, right? So just putting it out there, if someone has answers or whatever, I think that would be a great way to bring in more revenue if Illuvium doesn't need it on 24/7.
If Dimitri's listening, start making some side hustle right there.
He probably is. Sorry, go ahead, Scorix.
That's right. The next one we've got is, I don't know, because it didn't go to my link properly. Hold on.
One thing that I'm really excited about, I don't know if I can share this. I will say something about it. I won't go too in depth about it, but capture animations inside the game. When we're talking about NFTs and things like that, when you capture them right now, you're seeing the in-game render of it. I think what we're working on internally is gonna. It's a small change, but I think it's really, really going to increase the experience of the player when they capture something, especially if it's a hollow or something like that.
What do you mean capture animation? When
So
they capture an alluvial?
yeah, when they capture the alluvial, right now it goes into the it shows you the stats of it and things like that. So I think that experience, I know for a fact that experience is getting reworked, and I'm very excited for the team, for the community to really see that and experiencing that in game. But for those collectors, especially, I think it's a small change, but it's I would say quite impactful.
That gives it a much more of an emotional connection with it. I don't think that should be a priority, but I think
Dimitri replied, by the way. Dimitri is watching.
Did he really? I think. Yeah. Well, hang on. I think when you fuse them together and capture them, that should be a really iconic moment. And I think over a period of time, the team will work on that. So I'm looking forward to more of an emotional attachment to it. What did Dimitri say?
He said it's a lot of security issues plus the need to build the infra to do so, and he's also using it all the time. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Dimitri's not making a side hustle yet, guys.
Yo, I appreciate that Dimitri actually watches these. I know he's always here.
I love him.
Okay, so the next leak we've got for today is from Aaron. He says that it is being worked on where you can buy fuel at the correct price with SRV2. It's currently bugged out. It was never intended to work that way, but they are working on it very quickly to try and get it functioning properly inside the game, and hopefully that will be coming soon. For anyone who doesn't know, if you use SRV2 at the moment, it buys at the max price for fuel, even though fuel is actually 70% cheaper than that. So not particularly good. And they referred to it as an oversight, I believe, in one of these chats somewhere. So there's that. But so the next thing is that Aaron has said a few people are on much needed leave, and when they get back, they will tackle things that are having issues, as well as many other things to improve the flow. And as we were talking about with Kieran's tweet before, it looks like on-ramp with Fiat is actually quite a big priority. I just assumed if it would be in because it would be a big priority already. I don't know if it got made a bigger priority, but I'm looking forward to all of that as well. So that's really great stuff. And the team is on leave, so I'm hoping like halfway through September, everyone will be back in full force or something like that. I don't know, but it's just one of those periods in Illuvium's timeline. Mm-hmm. So the other thing is Kieran has floated the idea of doing a tournament with content creators. Later on in this chat, he says not core content creators. So he wants to look outside of the Illuvium bubble, find a bunch of people, get them in for a tournament. I think that'd be a really good way to spread the word, have some fun, have a really great community event, and maybe even like existing players could sponsor those creators or something like that. That could be really cool. Like the creators aren't just going to have a Ramfire. It'd be really cool for a player to be like, okay, you can borrow my Ramfire or whatever, or if you win, I want some of the prize money. I don't know, but it would be a really interesting event to kind of see Illuvium grow.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things that we can do there, and especially now with the Alliance program and the data that we're getting from the influencers, it's made it much easier for us to identify the high impact, and I mean very high impact creators. So we're doing a couple of things right now to really get that out. And once we have that locked in, once we have that data very, very obvious to us, I know Kieran tweeted it out, we tweeted it out, we made a big thing about Storming, for example, being the first creator to hit the legend tier. So someone like that, obviously he's got an invite, that's without say at all. But yeah, trying to see who the guys that we want to bring in. We're in conversation with some of the TFT guys. I know that we want to. There's a couple of things that we're waiting on in Gauntlet that once they get implemented, it's going to change the game quite a lot. And I think patches have been discussed publicly. I won't say too much about it if it hasn't, but yeah, there are some things that are coming.
I think my opinion on, I think marketing should be, in my opinion, it should wait until at least another month or two to go heavy at it. This is my opinion, just because I don't think the game's ready for heavy marketing. And I think what you guys are doing now, if I'm not mistaken, is test marketing where you're trying different creators, this and that is my assumption. But yeah, I think that would be the right move until we get, Gauntlet out there, Leviathan Gauntlet, more like test. Like I like the idea of Kieran's tournament. I think it's a really smart move. Get some new eyes and new eyeballs on the project. So yeah, we'll see when that comes to fruition over the next weeks or months.
Yeah.
Scoriox.
We're getting on to the next one. We're getting to the next one. All right.
Okay. Sorry. Let me address. Fubas asked me about the Alliance program. So the Alliance program is going quite well. I would say better than I had expected. I had a certain percentage in mind of the amount of revenue that I want coming from creators and the Alliance program. It's doing better than that. I don't know if I'm able to share that publicly in terms of that percentage, but it's doing better than what I wanted. We have over 300. It's funny. I think Dick is actually coming out with a tweet about this, so I can definitely share the information I shared with him. We've had over 320 creators that have registered, or allies. I don't know what you want to call it, but people that have, that's a horrible word. But yeah, that have joined the Alliance program. We've generated over 60 ETH through the Alliance program as well, and over 5,000, roughly 5,000 registrations through that as well. So it's doing quite well. There's still a lot of room to grow, but it's the starting foundation. I think we've hit the ground running, and I'm just, now that we've had that success story with Stormy and a couple of the others, it's become a much easier sell, and I think the opportunities are only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so the next one we've got here is Nick says that we're live, which means it's very important to communicate what's next. Couldn't agree more. Keep him hooked, keep him excited, keep him coming back and building teams of Illuvials so he's at the bleeding edge of progression. I did want to say one particular thing on this is I think he's absolutely right. When I think back to what has attracted me to different crypto games in the space, as of late at least, the one thing I can remember is when Parallel, because I don't actually like Parallel that much, the TCG. I think it has its merits, but there's just too much that is hard for me to get over. But when they showcase their Parallel Colony game that's coming out in the future, like this AI game, they can do all this stuff. Like, I don't know what the future holds for that. I don't know if it's going to be fun, if it's going to be good. But that was really exciting. I'm like, that's really cool. I want to keep more tabs on this project. I want to get involved with this project. I think Illuvium needs that. But unlike what Nick is saying here, or part of what he's saying here, I think it needs to go way beyond a roadmap. We need to start getting out leaks, even if they're short, even if they're janky, even if they're kind of crappy. We need to start getting out leaks of future things that are being developed. People want to see that. They want to see the progress. This was early on in Illuvium's time. We had a lot of this. I know we've kind of gotten rid of that. It feels like we haven't had one of those leak highlight reels for like 3 months. We need to see that progress on future iteration and development. Like Kieran has even talked at length of how they had that prototype where people were shooting each other in the overworld, and they had that other prototype he's talked about how overworld combat has in some sort of prototyping state where they can play it. It's just not ready for release. People want to see that, and you're not going to attract new players until they see that. You show someone overworld combat in its early state, right? And then someone will will see that and be like, shit, I want to get a head start on this game. I want to download it now. I want to start playing the overworld so I get used to the other features first. For when this comes, I want to be there. And we need more of that.
I want to just echo. Sorry, Sam. I know you want to jump in as well, but yeah, I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to echo what Roger and Dimitri are saying as well. Roger stated that it's been 2 weeks since launch, and Dimitri saying attention span. We're being out for 19 days or something like that. It's legitimately been 2 weeks. And I haven't seen Diablo or Hogwarts Legacy or Palworld 2 weeks after launch being like, by the way, guys, this is what's coming. Like, that just doesn't happen. It doesn't mean they're not coming. It just means let it breathe. And it's the same thing. I'm a big fan of music. And it's the same thing where I hate it now in this generation where an album comes out, people don't even listen. That's how old I am when I talk about albums, not singles or playlists. But when an album comes out, we have a 24-hour review. That's not how music is meant to be enjoyed. That's not how a game is meant to be enjoyed. Let it breathe for a little bit. And then a month later, something a little bit later, we're not saying it's not coming, but just bear with us. And maybe I'm a bit naive on this because I am from an older generation and my attention span isn't as affected, or maybe it's just, I'll say different. My attention span is a little bit different from what we're used to today. But yeah, I think maybe we need to adjust the plan based on the today's attention span. Maybe that is the case. But I think trying to find that balance there and trying to understand as well that in general, a new product doesn't come out and the week after, by the way, this is what's coming next. That's just not standard practice in any industry that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I think what I want to add, I'll just add on this part instead of going in depth, but I just hope when these things are ready, which we all want, multiplayer, raids, overworld combat, all these sort of things, I think as long as the team is working with the marketing team and coming up with a strategy of how to produce this and tease the community when it's ready, I think that's the right way to go about it. Instead of just dropping overworld combat as an example and go, hey guys, next patch, overworld combat, congrats. I think there should be some sort of series of events 2 weeks prior to it where you're showing things, but make sure it's all like structured. Like, I think the Illuvium team should know what they're posting on their social media within the month period already ahead. Like again, the team's probably stretched thin. People are on holidays. That would be the goal. That's how most companies would work. You know exactly what you're posting for the next 30 days. Yes, you have room to move with like, hey, we're moving this post. This post could be randomized, or this event might have happened. All these sort of things. And I hope they don't miss really good marketing opportunities, because every time I've posted that koala in the overworld pit video that I've posted like 3 or 4 times, that gets the most engagement out of most posts on Twitter. People want this. We know this, and the team's not stupid. I think teasing them with that, the community with that, but I want Illuvium to post. Illuvium should always post everything first before I get to it or someone else to, because that's where the eyeballs should go, and we want the reach to go to the Illuvium social media accounts. So I would just love to see that happen when we are launching things. Tease the community when it's ready, not necessarily when it's not ready and then it doesn't show up for another 6 months, but some sort of working together with the marketing team and that.
And yeah, and I'll just, sorry, Scoriox, I know you want to jump in. I'll just add a little bit more into that. I do agree with that. And I do think in terms of the structuring, I know maybe in crypto it was a thing that was frowned upon, and it probably still is, but announcements is pretty much it, right? Of, hey, 3 day, like in 7 days, we're going to announce, like, or we're going to kind of showcase something, kind of have that announcement of the announcement. It works. I think it does get people to look into it, because if you do come out with an announcement immediately, people might not be online that day, or it might get overlooked. Whereas if you do it for 7 days, 10 days, they might miss the first 3 days, but they're like, oh, damn, they get back in on 5 days left. They're like, oh, well, what's going on? So I think there is validity to that.
Sorry, Scoriox, I'm just going to say one last thing. As an example, I joke on social. I have a TikTok, and do not go there. But I did day 1 of day 2 of, like, there was a story. It has to be a story behind it. So just posting random things. I ended up getting I'm at like 140,000 followers on TikTok, and then I just gave up because I got bored of it, right? But that's how you super grow things. You give a narrative. I don't know what Illuvium can do. Just because Blizzard or World of Warcraft does their marketing like this doesn't mean we have to. I think we, as Illuvium, it's Web3. You need to go do crazy things. You need to try some things. This is testing phase. I hate seeing, oh, this is the studio, we should just do what they do and we'll just put our branding on it. Hell, go buy a billboard and write Illuvium with a pencil. Look at Deadpool did the perfect marketing. I like seeing different style of marketing. Look at Coinbase when there was a Super Bowl. It was that DVD thing, if you guys remember. It was just a QR code that went on the thing. This is the marketing that I feel like Illuvium needs. This is how you stand out from the crowd. And I would love to see them iterate this with different things. They have all the, I guess, Illuvium Combat, all everything else there. But I would love to see them do some crazy things, marketing, stuff like that. Instead of the generic, hey, what Illuvium do you like? Like, I just don't see that being hook enough. And I'd hate to see missed opportunities, especially with Illuvium, if they're just, we're not maximizing what we should in the marketing department. Sorry, Scoriox, go ahead.
I agree with you, TSG, that it's only been a few weeks since launch and we don't need to go crazy with hyping all this stuff up and things like that. But I need to mention that the crypto space lives on mystery and speculation. Everything in the space, including crypto gaming, thrives. It is the beating heart is speculation. Okay. No one cares about things that have been released. They care about things that haven't been released yet. And that is important. And we can't dismiss that as an important factor of any crypto game. People want to know what's coming next. More importantly, they want to see what's coming next, and they want to know how it can benefit them. And that's what's going to get people through the door, or that's going to be a big part of it. And saying things like, we don't need to do it yet, the game just came out. No, people, that's actually when you have to do it, because people only care about things that haven't come out yet in crypto. And they just do. It's just how it works. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. And we need to respect that,
I wonder, how do you guys feel? Say Illuvium dropped Illuvium Combat tonight, right? Even if we know it's not ready, but say they dropped a 30-second video, even a 10, 15-second video, I think we can all agree it would get a lot of traction. Everyone would share it in the community, so it would reach even more people. And I think the people that don't know that Illuvium has Illuvium Combat, because a lot of people don't, they still tell me regularly, like, oh, it's just an auto battle, I hate it. Like, what? No, obviously we need to get the word out, but how do you guys think people would react if we just dropped a early version of that, even if Illuvium posted that? How would you feel about that? Do you think that's the right move, or would you say that's the wrong move?
You get thousands of new players coming in, that's what they've been like looking for in a game.
And what I'm scared for, sorry, TSG, but what I'm scared for is there's like Chronoforge and these other games. If they start coming out, say, in the next couple of weeks and months, and they have this sort of stuff, then players have already moved over to these games, not knowing Illuvium had this. When if we get it out now, I guess the pro would be that, oh, wow, they have Illuvium Combat. I should start playing Illuvium now. TSG?
It's tough. Like, I get it. Yeah, it's just tough. Like, I get it. It just needs to be better thought out. Like, because if we go out with that, let's say we go out with that today. Do we go out with something similar again next week? Like, does that get boring? Like, if it's still a little bit of time out before we get a feature like that in, is that something that we want to start doing now? I know a lot of the games in 2021 in the crypto space was a lot of promises and no delivery. Could we potentially fall into that by saying, hey, let's just get these things out and get it in front of the people to speculate, yada, yada, yada. And then we actually burn trust because they say, oh, I was in here for this specific feature. Like, this is what this is the direction I thought we were going. And it was a bait and switch. So I can see the points you guys are making, and I think there is some validity, but I think it's a piece of the picture or not the full picture. And I'm not saying what you guys are saying are wrong. Like I said, I think it's valid. I just think there needs to be a balance, which is what we're working on finding right now. I don't think it's 100% one way or the other. Yeah. Is where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. It's just, I think people are excited to see what's next. And it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. But like even something like a Pokedex, right? Illuvium needs a Pokedex pretty badly, if you ask me, inside the game.
I think I saw that recently, actually. That's already getting built, right?
Sorry, but like even Dimitri's point, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it, but getting thousands, like even that, yes, we want as many players as possible, but we have issues. It's always this kind of push and pull.
We're not ready. We are not ready. I can tell you right now, no marketing should be done, only testing. We need a proper good loop where the game is ready. In my opinion, the game is nowhere near ready. I think it needs another 3 months or X amount. I don't know of timelines of things, but I played the game for 2 days, right? I got stage 3, everything, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I spent some money or whatever. But now I have nothing to do. Unless I want to capture the Illuvials, I'm stuck. I'm at a roadblock. I want to play Illuvium, but I can't. There's nothing for me to really, there's no raids. There's no Leviathan Gauntlet, even though I'm not a huge auto battler and I'm just one person. But I think it just needs a bit more time, flesh out some loops. IMX have got their own problems. We need credit card onboarding and everything like that. So my opinion is I don't think we are ready, but social media posts could be different where if we posted it, what is the reaction from the community? Does that help? Or is it they see that and they go into play Illuvium and then they've got a million problems. They're like, this game is not for me. I'm out,
And first impressions, Matt, like that's the thing. Again, I get both sides to it. It's a nuanced discussion, right? Because yes, we want as many players as possible. We want as much revenue as possible. Yes, all of that is true. But at the same time, first impressions matter. If like what Dimitri is saying, and we saw that with our Web 2 campaigns where we got a lot of brand awareness, a lot of reach from that. But if onboarding is less than perfect, we don't see those conversions. We don't see that happening. The game loop, like you're saying, there's so many things that still need to be addressed. So yeah, it's a nuanced conversation. It's not something as simple as what a lot of the community might think.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think we can call it phase 1, and then overworld combat and our more complete game over the next 2 or 3 months is phase 2. And at that point, you start leaking raids and that sort of stuff because the game is complete enough that you have people on board.
It's funny. Sorry. I know, Sam, you want to jump in. Yo, I'm actually loving today's conversation. It's actually quite good. But yes, it's funny that you say that, Scoriox, because I haven't shared this with you or anything, but even with some of our campaigns that we are doing with the Web 2 guys and Web 3 guys, I've literally said, hey, this is phase 1. Let's put a pause and we do phase 2. It's the exact same terminology because I think you're right. We had phase 1 with launch. Let's get a couple of things in and then we start phase 2, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And just to be super clear on both ends of the scale here, this is a beta. Okay. We all have to understand that there was going to be a million problems, even if we launched in December or next year. It doesn't really matter when. And it's a team of 150, roughly 200 people. If you look at all the other games, they take 7+ years. There is thousands of employees. So benefit of the doubt, 100% to Illuvium for what they have produced. Phenomenal. I just think it needs a little bit more time before we even do anything crazy. So next up.
So we better rack up these leaks. We've got Roger who says that the game is out, but it's not done. I mean, it's kind of echoing a lot of the sentence we just said. But basically, rushing into the next best thing we want to promise versus actually finishing the thing we are working on. I think we have a very good platform to keep building. Let's get these games right first. Onboarding still needs work. Finishing the products we released and giving them the round of polish they deserve so they become more immersive and more sticky, more competitive and more social. To be fair, a lot of the games in Web3, when you play them, they're janky as hell. If someone comes into Illuvium and just be like, this is the first game that isn't janky, I think that would actually say a lot and be really good. So that's definitely a positive there. As we do all that, of course, we prepare to work towards the next big thing on the horizon. But the game is cool. It just needs to get in front of people. So he doesn't want to release the When army again. I love that. But really great stuff. We've got the last one here. Roger I've added him to my list of things I search through when I'm going through this stuff. But he's released some leaks for Tiger Boreal. If anyone wants to jump into the Discord, there's actually even more leaks that he's released. I like these ones the best, but there are some more in there. I'm very excited for Tiger Boreal. I think that's going to be a big thing, and I kind of hope Tiger comes out with overworld combat and what we're calling phase 2.
Terrible idea.
I want it. It'll be refreshing for existing players. It'll be refreshing for existing players.
Let me explain why.
Discuss.
From a marketing perspective, you have two massive news. If you have Tiger Boreal and Overworld Combat, you need to do them separately massively. And if you do multiplayer, you need to release multiplayer in Sanctum Mesa, nowhere else, just Sanctum Mesa. Let the hype go up, do it for 2 to 4 weeks, whatever. Then everyone's like, oh, I want more. Because do you remember when we had bubbles in the overworld? And we're like, if just Illuvials were in the overworld, this would be so much better. Then we got it. And now we're like, oh, but when do we have overworld combat? When do we have this? 100% all big events need to be structured and marketed and planned 30 days in advance of how we release things, get the hype up there, get the sharing up there, and then release the next thing, even if it's little things. Pioneers are marketing something, for goodness sake.
I very much agree with that. I think features need to be staggered.
Yes,
clumping them together, it's missed opportunities for no reason.
Yeah.
So, staggering feature releases is it seems like an obvious decision.
Tiger Boreal should not come out for a while. I think they should, even if it was ready right now, I think they should hold that in the back pocket and just go, not yet. It's not ready. Like, even though I know it's probably not ready, but like, there's so much. I just think put it on the side and go, we're not ready. We need a player base. We need all these other things, and wait till, I don't know, say November, December or something. So, yeah. Sorry, Scoriox. Go ahead.
You're killing me, dude. You're killing me. All right. So the next segment we have today is the topic of the week. And today we've kind of talked it to death already, which is quite funny. But the topic I had was what needs to happen for user retention in Illuvium. So we can go besides the marketing stuff. We've talked a lot about the marketing, the leaks, all that sort of thing. Is there anything else that we really need for user retention in Illuvium?
I'll speak first because Taryn's part of the team and he probably knows the retention, whereas I don't. As far as I'm aware, retention is phenomenal in Illuvium, and even spend per head is phenomenal. So I don't think these are our problems. I think the problem is onboarding and getting more players in.
Sorry. I meant user acquisition. I don't know why I wrote it wrong. You can tell I didn't get enough sleep last night.
What's the question?
Yeah, what's the topic? Yeah, what's the discussion?
So what is the best way to acquire more users right now for Illuvium?
Taryn, and then I'll think.
Yo, my man with guns blazing. I was like, I think the best way for user acquisition right now is, as Sam actually mentioned, is test campaigns. I think now that we've got systems in place that we can actually track data in a much more accurate and extensive manner, I think the best thing to do right now is to do test campaigns, especially now that we are able to generate revenue. So we know, for example, that Web 2 campaigns bring eyeballs, not necessarily players and revenue because of onboarding issues. Web 3 campaigns actually do really, really well in terms of customer acquisition as well as conversions and revenue generated. So doing test campaigns in different regions, obviously LATAM was a big win for us. We have Southeast Asia to pick. We have CIS to pick. Like, there's a lot of APAC to pick. There's even Europe. We haven't done too much. In North America, we haven't done too much. But there's a lot of different regions that we can do test campaigns with. I'm speaking based on my opinion now, on my expertise, which is creators, agencies, things like that. So what my thought process is in terms of user acquisition, try and hit various different regions, different communities, whether that's DeFi, whether that's GameFi, whether that's, I don't know what else, like if it's NFTs, I don't know. There are a whole bunch of different things we can do. Start gathering that data. All we need is a couple of them to win and actually be ROI positive to make up for the rest. And using that data, we can actually identify where we want to double down and say, okay, identify where the issues are in the onboarding process. Do they click the register button? Do they drop off here? Where do they drop off? What needs to be fine-tuned, optimized? So that's what we can use with the data, as well as identifying the opportunities of what regions are more receptive to us. What genre is more are they more receptive to? All of these data points by using test campaigns and smaller campaigns, and the fact that we are able to generate revenue actually takes a lot of the risk off us as well. Whereas previously we were doing campaigns, we didn't actually, but like doing test campaign, it was kind of a lot of guesswork, which is essentially being eliminated now with these new systems in place. Is my thought process and strategy on how the user acquisition in the short term should be going.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with most of that already. And I think on top of it would be, we know Web 2 isn't an option realistically right now just due to onboarding. So I don't think it makes sense there. I think mobile is very popular. I think most Web 3 gamers right now are on mobile. So Illuvium Zero and all the other Web 3 games. We know Illuvium's in its own sort of league compared to the other Web 3 games as well. So I would just keep spending to an absolute minimum. And I think to onboard people, is the low-hanging fruit would be trying to get people into Zero right now, or anything to do with mobile. And then do exactly what Taryn said, like test some campaigns out on a low-level monetary value, and then sort of look at what works and what doesn't work and sort of narrow down on that until the team feels like, okay, now let's go after these TFT players that are high end. Let's go after, Web 2 because it's ready. I think that's further down the line. But something I would like to see, and I think someone brought it up in Discord, I think Layla did, is other speaking languages like China and stuff like that could be super beneficial. I would love to see the community or someone take over that translating and start building that out, because that does take some time. And I think that would be a super smart move, because the Chinese community and many other communities are very strong in bringing people over. And we know China spends, and Japan is, I think, the number one expenditure. I don't have the data on this, but I'm sure
it's USA in gaming revenue. It's correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but USA is number one, China is number two, Japan is number three, Korea is number four, and Germany is number five. It's along those lines. I might have got one of them wrong or the rankings wrong, but that's generally where it is.
Yeah, I would just love to see stuff like that. I think that's what makes sense right now.
Yeah, and I'll just Scoriox, I'll just jump in a little bit as well. I'll share a little bit of a story. Actually, last weekend, I was at a restaurant with my wife, and I saw this chick playing TFT on the mobile, and I asked my wife, I was like, "Yo, take a picture of this. I'm going to show it to the team. We need the localization in Chinese." So, like, these guys love this game. Like, they love TFT. They love Order Battlers. Anyone that I speak to when they ask me what I do, when I say I work for a game studio, and I show them TFT because I know that they recognize that brand, everyone says they love this game. So it definitely needs to happen. And I've actually, fun fact, I've actually localized all of the Illuvium names and given them Chinese names. So that part's actually already done. It's more the actual in-game UI and the in-game stuff that needs to be translated. But the simple words like grit, result, all of those things, that's being translated, plus the names of the Illuvials. It's just the UI inside the game that needs to be done in terms of Chinese. But for me, I obviously live in China. I've got relationships with Chinese streamers, content creators, communities. I am deeply involved in that in terms of I understand the opportunity here. It's something that I'm pushing for quite hard. But again, this discussion was about short-term user acquisition. That's something that's going to take a little bit more, I'd say mid to long term. But it's absolutely something that we need to double down on.
Yeah, I think what was on my head was a few key things. I think tournaments and ascendant ranked and that sort of stuff is a big element because it gives you somewhere to use your alluvials. But more importantly, we've seen that these sorts of large scale events perform really well, as we've seen from Parallel, which seems to be one of the only games that can kind of expand beyond its bubble somehow. Like, it just manages to do that quite well. I think them holding those large tournaments and things is a big part of that. So polishing Ascendant and Gauntlet is one of the big things I think would attract a lot of people. But along the same lines of what you're talking about, TSG, I definitely think Arena going to mobile could do big things as well, but simply because it's easy to pick up and play, and it's something that gets you involved with the IP, and then people might be willing to look at the rest of Illuvium. They might not spend straight away. They might not even spend for 6 months, but they're going to become fans of Illuvium. And when a brand becomes popular, that's when people start to flock to it. So I think having those sorts of things would be really, really helpful. And I think, those are kind of the two on my mind. But the only other thing is finishing the core gameplay loop in Illuvium. The gameplay loop in the overworld. The gameplay loop's great, but it's missing one or two little things. Things like RPG, like it's been said in the chat already, but things like RPG progression, multiplayer is an obvious one, but even things like the Pokedex, like I said a minute ago, it's just missing a few of those things to make it a more complete journey experience type thing. It gets really aimless really quickly. It's just missing that collection factor, and it's missing that end game factor. It's missing something a bit weird. I think fixing that would be a big thing too.
And I will just say this as well regarding tournaments and things like that. I know with some of the stuff that we have coming up with Gauntlet, ranked leaderboards, Leviathan, things like that, I know for a fact that I'm in conversations and I've got a bunch of the Parallel guys, Hearthstone guys, actually just waiting for that. Because, I mean, a lot of the Hearthstone guys that jumped into Parallel is because they've got a ranked mode, they've got rewards, things like that. I know for a fact that they absolutely love what we're doing with Illuvium. They're just waiting for a reason and some stickiness for them to come and play Gauntlet. So once that's in there, I expect quite a few of those guys to jump on board. And I won't say switch from Parallel, but at least start spending a little bit of time with what we're doing here as well.
Well, I think, I know it's a funny joke to make that TCG players kind of have that one TCG they stick with. But I think they tend to have 2 or 3 ones that they love. People that love Hearthstone probably also really loved. I think they got really into Dota Unlords at the time and stuff like that. So they've got 2 or 3 core games they love. These people that are coming into Web3 love Parallel. I think Gauntlet goes alongside that really, really well. And so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so the next part of today's episode is we've got the community discussions that have been ongoing. That's really buggy.
About Tiger Boreal. So what does the community think about?
I was just looking at that.
It's not even letting me switch. There we go. Okay, so the community discussions that are ongoing at the moment. We only have one for today. We'll try and do 2 every week, but there's really only one main one that's kind of cropped up. Unironically, I actually made this post with a team building upgrade for Leviathan. All it was with actually the help of TSG and me were talking about this sort of thing behind the scenes, just like as a random thing we were chatting about, not really like what Illuvium does or doesn't need to do or whatever. But I came up with a formula for like a basically like a power rating for all the Illuvials, which would help you filter in the Illuva decks, help you fill out your Leviathan team with just one click, one button. The community is coming with some really great suggestions regarding how filters can be done and all these more complex things. I was trying to just do like a really simple thing. The community's had a lot of fun discussing all the different ways that this can be implemented to make their and future players' lives better as they come into Illuvium. So this has been a really great chat. If you want to jump in here, I highly recommend it. It's been a good one.
Yeah, in terms of, I've actually brought this, not this idea, like your idea, but I brought this idea to Kieran before, especially when Leviathan comes out. We want it to be as user-friendly as possible, the best user experience as possible. I think a power rating makes sense, whether it's your system or not. I think something like that makes total sense, that when you see your Illuvial and you can see it a 9 out of 10 or a 5, if you're going on in Leviathan, you can filter by power rating and just choose the best Archie that you have, the best so-and-so that you have, rather than going and clicking each of them and trying to remember which one you clicked and things like that. It's such a small thing, but it would greatly impact the user experience when it comes to something like Gauntlet or even playing Overworld. If you could just see a quick power rating and you know which Archie you'd want to choose or favorite that, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't really have too much. I'd have to think about it, but something needs to happen. I know that. Definitely.
Great insight. Great insight.
No, I know. I'm just trying to picture it in my head because I'm not a huge Pokemon person, right? And I don't know how it all works. I just know there has to be something that has to be done.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to spitball, but
it's pretty similar to, like, I know you reference this, Scoriox, but Illuvitas. You can go into the rampies that you have and just have a power rating, right? Like, it just makes sense. So something similar to that. I personally would prefer just a 1 to 10, as it's quite easy to see. I'm not a big fan of 100, maybe 100. I know even in FIFA, the FIFA Ultimate Team, they have a power rating of 100, right? If you get, no one has 100, but I think Ronaldo has like 99 or whoever the best players are. I'm not a football fan, but you can see it immediately of, okay, cool. But in our case, we don't have an Archie that's 99, but you can have multiple Archies, one at 40, one at 50, one at 90. And you're like, okay, that's the one I want on my team. Just very quickly identify who your best assets are.
I would like to see. Oh, is it frozen?
No.
What I would like to see, if other games do this, I would like to then, if it makes sense, if other games do it, it makes sense to do it, right? But I think, is there a way we could even do it better? That would be another option, because I hate taking the same thing and doing it again. I like taking something, grabbing it, and then doing it better. But it's hard to do power rating better. I'm just don't know.
I mean, it's a weird one, because I like with power ratings on FIFA, for example, they do it based on the player stats. Yeah. And obviously, one Ronaldo is not going to be different from, maybe if they have different eras, maybe a Beckham back in the day.
Well,
again, something like that.
I would be referencing Pokemon Go. People are really into that one. Pokemon Go has the IVs for your Pokemon, and they essentially turn up into a stats thing, which basically gives them power rating. People are really used to that. They really like it. Clearly, whatever they did worked really, really well. And so I think that's pretty much the way to go.
Yeah, and I'll just say, I think having that on the marketplace actually helps us with secondary trades as well. Because again, you just filter by the best one. Like, it's just so much that goes into it. Someone that maybe can't afford a 99 or 100 rating Rampy, but can get a 50, might still pull the trigger, right? And be like, hey, look, it's kind of going for economy, business, or first class. It's okay. I can't afford that, but I can afford this. Let me just do that.
I do know there has to be something done eventually, like when you search Ramfy, if you're looking for a Ramfy on the Illuvidex, where there's 10 Ramfies, but they're all different prices, but you can't, like, what are the best stats? What are the thing like?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Comes in. So yeah, that definitely.
Yeah, I'm imagining. Yeah, you click on Ramfy, and you can't see that. Like, I know there are going to be changes there, but still, with those changes, having a power rating smack bang on the card, it's very easy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sweet. All right, so the next thing is I've got some community content from the week. I picked out 5 different pieces of community content that I really enjoyed, or
5 tweets of Scoriox.
Needing to watch and haven't watched yet. No Scoriox tweets with this one. All right. So the first one we've got here is actually from Inspector Mindblow. He says he tried to earn real money in Illuvium. He goes through a full play and airdrop guide on how he's earning money by playing in the Illuvium overworld.
Not capture Illuvium.
Has a lot of views compared to a lot of recent Illuvium content, so clearly he's done something right. Highly recommend checking it out. I'm going to drop that one in the chat. The next one we've got here is Fight for ETH has actually been helping us track the Illuvium player base over time. He says it hit 18,237. I actually believe it's getting really close to 20K, so almost breaking 20K. But 300 to 400 new players per day is nothing to snuff at. It's actually really, really sweet.
Can we just talk about recently? Have we all noticed there's like the player increase of like 1,000 or 2,000 players came out of nowhere the last sort of 24, 48 hours? Have you noticed this? We're nearly at 20,000 and it just shot up very quickly.
I don't know definitely noticed this because I look at the data internally, but yeah.
Is there anything we want to say here, Taryn?
No, again, I think with time, we're just going to see that more and more. And I think as we activate more marketing campaigns, we're just going to keep seeing that more and more.
Okay.
All right, the next one we've got is Sam made a really hype post that people really loved, where Illuvium just gave nearly 1 million, nearly gave 1 million to their ILV stakers from revenue distributions, real money spent in the game. And it's an ongoing thing, by the way. Who knew? All revenue goes back to ILV stakers and land holders. Is your crypto project giving back to you? There's a little cowboy thing there, which is pretty funny.
I don't know why I did that, but whoever did that tweet is an absolute legend. And it annoys me that still to this day, and it will take some time, that investors and crypto, Twitter and Web3 gamers do not understand revenue distribution, and more that we can educate people on this, the better.
Yeah. I think it was a really good first showing, man. It was a really good first showing of, I'm not considering the other RevDis thing that we did in the past. This is now the first. I don't care what anyone says. So, I think it was a good first showing. And I think as we keep growing, as we keep doing more and more, I'm very, very excited about how this plays out and how that narrative shifts around what Illuvium actually is.
Yeah.
So the next one I have is actually, you guys need to prepare for this. Gauntlet Masters Week 2 qualifiers is this weekend. Competition heats up as Rangers compete for a spot in the final. Top 16 will advance. So bring your A-game, 100 ILV in prizes for the final. Very exciting. Last week I was in Paz's little group as we went through our rounds. I came 4th in game 1 and 2nd in game 2. Paz taking out both wins. So he's in a really good spot for the future. But I'm doing not too bad, a 2nd and a 4th. Not garbage, but I had a lot of fun with it. I can't wait for this weekend's qualifiers. So big thanks to Illuvium and the Hyperion Guild for hosting that. After that, the first ever, or he says, I haven't actually verified. I'm going to assume it is correct. The first ever Dark Hollow Ramfy was just bought off the Illuvidex for something like $300. Very, very cool. I love to see it.
He needs to fuse that. A 33% chance. He
needs You've got to go for it.
He needs to stream that or video it. I will happily, everyone should share that, and I would watch that at the edge of my seat.
That would be nuts.
So who is it? If he's listening, you should do it.
It's Nefer. Okay. So the last thing we've got on our slate for today, or one of the last things, is the tip of the week. I forgot about that. All right, so I wrote down a game tip to help you guys playing in Illuvium, and this one's going to really help you out with the Gauntlet qualifiers this weekend. Okay, this is something I didn't even know for my first week of playing the game. Esha will probably laugh at me, but it's fine. I do things outside of playing video games. Anyways, so the tip of the week is go for level 5 immediately in Gauntlet. I cannot stress this enough. You get on like wave 3 when you're versing an opponent. You should have enough mastery points to actually just gum down level 5 straight away. What this will do is reduce the tier 0s in your shop to 15%. If you don't do this, there are so many tier 0s that are going to pop up. It's going to set you way back. You're not going to be able to win streak. It's going to put you at a huge disadvantage. If you want a chance in the qualifiers, level up to level 5 straight away. If you're getting caught behind, maybe you can start playing Econ, but at the start, everyone should go to level 5 pretty much off the bat until they change some of those percentages for the different odds. Yep. Okay. So the last, one of the last things we have is the viewer questions. And so I'll make a post straight after this stream where you can actually post your own questions. But the one I've got for us today is from Brian G, where he needs more, an underrated portion of the overworld isn't just hunting, but stats hunting. It adds a whole new aspect and replayability. He only found out, I thought there was a question here. What the hell?
Bro, what the hell?
All right, well, that's where they were supposed to put a question. Ryan didn't really put one there, but that's fine. Okay.
Yo, go to Kieran's tweet, though.
Yeah, did you send me the link?
Sorry, guys, it's Scoriox.'s first stream.
Why wouldn't you send
me
the link?
We've got best content up here at the top right-hand side. So
it's the first time trying this. It's confusing as hell.
Why you do that? I'm going to ask a quick question. I believe in Gauntlet and Leviathan everything. If you have a stage 3 alluvial, it should count as stage 2 and stage 1. We discussed this before, us three, outside of this download is complete podcast or whatever. So, I believe if you have a stage 3, if you have a stage 3 Ramfire, right, that should count automatically for your stage 1 and 2 because you've captured that and leveled it up and got to the next one and leveled it up and got to the next one. We disagree here, but think you're a player, right? You're a new player. You come into the ecosystem and you've got it to stage 3, and then you go to Gauntlet and you can't even use it because you don't have stage 1 or 2 or whatever.
That would be Ascended. That would be an Ascended.
Yeah. Then you're like, well, hang on. I just already leveled it up. So now I've got to go back and get numbers stage 2 and stage 1. Like, that doesn't make sense. Please, the floor is open here. And also,
so I disagree. I disagree. And if you look at maybe. Let me give you my rationale. If anyone that's ever played any TCG, and in this example, I'll use Pokemon. If you play Pokemon and you need to evolve from a Charmander to a Charmeleon to a Charizard, you need all 3 cards. If you have a Charizard card in your deck, you can't just go straight to it. You need all 3. That's pretty standard for TCGs. So if we're using that logic, and people have done that in the past with games like Pokemon, I don't see why it's an issue here.
Okay. I don't know.
I forgot about the Pokemon TCG.
It is, and no one thinks about the Pokemon TCG. So you can't just play. You need to play a Pikachu or Charmander. Next turn, you put the Charmeleon on top. Next turn, you put the Charizard on top. That's just how it goes. In terms of, and this is an issue that would only affect Ascendant. It's not Gauntlet, so it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on. I personally back the decision that we made for that reason, but again, it's not really. As we move more towards Gauntlet, I'm not going to stand here and argue about it. It's just,
I think if you have stage 3, it should count as stage 1 and 2. That's my opinion. I don't.
Let us know in chat. Yeah, are you Team Sam or Team TSG? Let us know in chat.
Right, now we're going to divide it. Okay.
I think
I've won one over. Zalith is already saying he's now on my side. So
but Zalith is drunk. So
he's an idiot. I've just called the guy on my team an idiot.
Scoriox, what do you think?
Suck. I could go either way, to be honest. I kind of like the idea of the stage 3 helping you to do it, but it's a gameplay perspective. Does Ascendant need the Ascension mechanic in the game? If that makes the game better, then I think it makes sense for you to have to own them all. But then there might be a time in the future where we're like, Ascension's not working, and they get rid of Ascension. And then it wouldn't have mattered if you bought those stage 1 or stage 2. You just need the stage 3 in that case, So it's an interesting one where, like, you're trying to govern this entire mechanic around one of the other games. Because even if your stage 3 counted as the stage 1 of the stage 2, who's not to say that a TCG comes out that requires you to own all 3, or a different game or a different game? At some point, there's probably going to be a game that has rules where you need all 3. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah. What's the community questions? Scoriox,
that was it. So let's.
That was it. The one question.
There was no questions.
No, well, we didn't post it very early. It's fine. It's fine. Okay.
Well, it'll be better next week.
So Kieran has said priorities, not including bug fixes, Arena, Leviathan, Gauntlet lobbies, Gauntlet rank, Arena cosmetics. We've already got cosmetics. I mean, Drone Blast, I'm keen for them. Overworld, multiplayer, NPC quest, trainer NPC battles. We've been talking about these 3 for a long time. Alluvial rating system. I have no idea if that came from my post, probably before that. Automated drone runs. I actually have a lot to say on that, but we'll keep going.
Well, what is a
Zero
drone?
Mega Cities blueprints, basically skipping the pack opening with a literal pack opening. Mega Cities blueprints, training gyms. Web, Fiat on ramp. Keen that that's coming soon, or at least it's being worked on. So I'm excited for that. Fuel exchange, order book, fuel estimator, and all that. Very good to hear that. Repository, I don't know what that is.
That's like the Illuvidex, isn't it? Like what did you say? The Pokemon thing.
The Pokedex.
Oh, they're calling it a repository?
Yeah.
Is that not a weird name for it?
Hates that word.
It's been repository for quite some time.
What do you want it to be, Scoriox?
Just repository doesn't roll off the tongue.
What would you like it to be? Illuvidex?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? We called the marketplace the Illuvidex.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll think of something better. Okay. New region and asset optimization for Arena Mobile. This should be right at the top. Priority number 1. Anyways, yeah, so very, very exciting things here.
Scroll down. And I know some people asked questions and Kieran was responding, so maybe there's a couple of other things.
So he is saying that fuel being used in the overworld from your land is being worked on. He just forgot to mention it here. Overworld combat is obviously coming soon, and it's already playable. Working
a bit more design. I don't want to skip that. It says overworld combat needs a bit more design. Let's not.
Yeah.
But what does that mean though? What needs to be designed? I'm confused.
The game design. Of how that actually works.
How you attack it.
Yeah. The mechanics behind it. Exactly. How does capturing work? The percentages for capturing. How many Illuviums are you seeing? Battling, XP. There's a bunch of things there.
That upsets me, but well, it's the number one thing I want in the game. One day.
Yeah. But I think multiplayer is actually it's a pretty good start. And like we say, let's stagger out these features.
So when priority to pump the token, Leviathan Gauntlet.
That's what you guys voted him in for, right?
Rating system like a gear score, so stats can be shown, single number next to a thumbnail, all that sort of stuff. So some absolutely fantastic stuff. Yeah, I really don't like the name repository. I think that's weird, but that's just me.
What about the Illuvitory? I just saw Nick put that in. Is that better for you?
Illuvitory would be better, I guess. I would have said Illuviary.
Like a
that
bird?
was an option as well. Illuviary was an option.
I don't know how it's not Illuviary, but whatever. So the next section we've got is a Q&A. If anyone has some pressing questions right now, we can go through some of them. Yeah, we're going to cut down the sections. I'll fix that. If anyone has anything to ask, I mean, we kind of answer them throughout the episodes. We'll probably cut this out. But if anyone has anything, we can go through that. And then that's the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great outro. Yeah, guys.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked all the changes. Please don't forget to like the video. Leave a comment later. Also, don't forget to use my referral down in the corner there in the profile settings on the Illuvidex.
Do the thing.
Say it. Say it, Gary.
I've got a whole thing for outro. There we go.
Yeah, do the thing. Do the thing. Come on.
Oh, God. And with that, the download is